New talk from the Obama administration that the U.S. could decide to pull all remaining U.S. troops out of Afghanistan by the end of next year. Deputy National Security Advisor for Strategic Communications Ben Rhodes would not rule that out during a conference call with reporters.
That would be an option that we would consider because, again, the president does not view these negotiations as having a goal of keeping U.S. troops in Afghanistan.
For its part, the Pentagon says thousands of U.S. troops may be needed in Afghanistan beyond 2014 to contain al-Qaeda. The U.S. currently has 66,000 troops there. All of this comes with President Obama scheduled to meet with Afghan President Hamid Karzai Friday at the White House. Karzai is in Washington now and will meet later this afternoon with a group of senators, including Minority Leader Mitch McConnell. Joining me now, NBC News military analyst, retired four-star Army General Barry McCaffrey, also VoteVets.org co-founder and chairman Jon Soltz, who served twice in Iraq. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. General McCaffrey, let me start off with you here. Many indicate or believe that the president's choice and John Kerry and Chuck Hagel indicate the direction he'd like to go in the near future with Afghanistan, meaning withdrawing more troops than we thought before and leaving far fewer in that country, and as we move forward with other possible conflicts.
Yeah, well, I sure hope so. I think both of them are Vietnam vets. Both were wounded in action. They've got a very realistic view on the limitations of military power. This is going to be an important week. President Obama is not going to get much out of Karzai. From a strictly military perspective, Tamron, maybe 30,000 troops is the right answer to leave air power, counterterrorism, intelligence support in Afghanistan. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm not too sure that we're not well served by going to a near zero option.
Karzai has said that he wants the U.S. out of Afghanistan, but we know that there's still a concern about al-Qaeda and our overall safety here from terrorists who live and exist there. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the problems, though, dealing with Karzai, who, by the way, 2 years from now, it's highly likely he's going to be in Dubai along with most of his family, because it's likely that that's going to unravel minus a significant U.S. military and allied presence. Now, having said that, I don't think he's going to give a status of forces agreement. Politically, he's playing games with the Pashtun. He's a Pashtun tribal leader.
Right.
And I don't think we're going to leave U.S. forces there minus guarantees that they'll not be subject to whatever we think of Afghan justice.
John, let me bring you in. You've written about this as well. You believe Hagel and Kerry are indicators that we will not have those troops in Afghanistan past next year as well, right?
Well, Senator Hagel obviously didn't support the president when he put the surge into Afghanistan. I think the 2014 thing we're talking about today is ironic, though, because we were always supposed to go to zero at 2014. That's what the president campaigned on. So what's going on at the Pentagon is very similar to what happened when I was in Iraq about how many troops do they want to leave, and people are pushing proposals all over the place. The question is, what's the mission going to be after 2014? If it's a counterterror mission, it's very consistent with what the vice president had wanted, where Chuck Hagel has always been, which is, let's go after al-Qaeda where they're at. I think the large question is what happens in the next 24 months. Right now, we've got a lot of officers and non-commissioned officers embedded with Afghan units sort of projecting a security blanket. And at what point do we transition those guys off and go to an advised train and assist? And then what is our relationship with the Afghan army post-2014? We can leave contractors on the ground. We've done that in Iraq. But Iraq didn't deteriorate like people said. There's been no attacks on the U.S. Embassy since we left. So I'm sort of happy with where we're at. I hope we go to zero, actually, at 2014 and put the pressure on the Afghans. There's be some type of stalemate on the ground.
Well, there's a hope there, as you pointed out, and you've written about, but what is the reality pointing the continued effort or whatever role that we would have, as you pointed out, or General McCaffrey pointed out, just having contractors, for example, would be a presence there. I mean, how realistic is a zero-sum game here?
Well, in Iraq, we have a zero-sum game.
In Afghanistan.
I don't think we go to zero, Tamron, just because there's going to be a counterterror mission. There is this anti-al-Qaeda mission that is in the Afghan-Pakistan region. So the question is, can you do? is a suffice counter-terror force with a 2,500-person force package. That takes us out of the nation-building business. It takes us out of the embedded with the Afghan force. Right now, we're embedded tactically with Afghan forces. When we go to an operational level, the president has sort of given us a term that's not accurate. He says U.S. troops aren't in combat operations. False. Blue-on-green incidents happen all the time. Green-on-blue happen all the time in Afghanistan. So there's this question of what is the role going to be in the next 24 months, and how do we transition it to that counter-terror mission at 2014?
John, thank you for your time. General McCaffrey, it's always a pleasure. Thank you, gentlemen.